Welcome back. Up next is SABC News Senior Economics Reporter Liabo Setho to open up her diary. So Liabo, before we get into the other issues that you have on your agenda, developments are on the move even as we speak. That conflict between Israel and Iran, you're starting to see the impact thereof, and you'll be watching it going into the new week.
Absolutely. We actually have been seeing the impact on the price of Brent crude oil that has been escalating. Remember, maybe 2 weeks ago, we were sitting at around $50, $60 a barrel. Now we're at around $77 a barrel. And of course, if that continues to increase because of the geopolitical tensions, we will see that seep through in our petrol price locally. And when we see that in our petrol price, that will have an impact on inflation, which actually last week when Stats SA released the CPI data was quite flat at 2.8%. It didn't move. But because of price of fuel going up, we might see that going up and impacting on inflation. So that is one that we'll definitely be watching on the economics desk to see how that oil price moves. But yeah, absolutely has an impact on a lot of things, also the oil price.
Geopolitical events directly impacting us and hitting us in the pockets, at least in the coming weeks and months. Then the next one is one we've been watching for some time, this issue of foot and mouth disease. We're seeing some interesting developments and interventions by the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen.
Yeah, he'll be visiting the feedlot in Heidelberg tomorrow. This is where current beef, if they're the largest producers of beef in the country and in Africa, if I'm correct. I spoke to the chief veterinarian yesterday, Dr. Dirk Verwoerd, and he says that they actually started yesterday to vaccinate. They had 900 vials of vaccination coming through from Botswana, and they have already started the work. So what will be happening tomorrow is more vaccination, but more of a ceremonial nature, where you have the MEC of Agriculture, Visa Ramkhopa, as well as the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, going through there. Interestingly enough, John Steenhuisen actually implores with consumers to say, please buy beef, because you know that foot and mouth disease does not impact on the consumption of beef by people or by humans, you know, so it doesn't impact you and I. However, we see that it impacts smallholder farmers as well as those beef producers, because if there's restrictions on movement or on animals, that means that they cannot sell their animals. So he has implored with the consumers to please do buy beef. And we actually, Tuna, saw that when Stats SA released the inflation data from last week, we saw that beef inflation has gone up from 6 to 11%. Things like beef steak, I heard that you like it. It has gone up by around 4.5% in May. Things like mince has gone about 1.7% increase. So if that is not controlled and the vaccinations do not happen as speedily, we might see that the price of beef will hit a lot of people in the
pocket. It's been dealing with a lot there in that space of the food supply chain, including that situation with avian influenza as far as chicken goes. But we don't have time for that. Let's talk about the Auditor General South Africa and the conference that's coming up. In the next few minutes, I will be talking to the Auditor General. I'm
actually excited that she's here to talk about it herself in person. It is the Supreme Audit of Institutions of the G20 member countries. We know we're holding the G20 presidency, and so auditors from the G20 members are going to be gathered in Johannesburg. But I really don't want to go too much into detail with that, because she's here. She'll speak for herself about what you can expect with that.
Absolutely. Liabo, thank you for that. That's Liabo Setho from our SABC News Economics Desk, opening up her diary for you.